Alright guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be breaking down whether or not it's still worth buying a 350Z in 2025. Alright, so starting off, we're going to be looking at prices. So prices out there right now are pretty high. For example, when I first got this car, I think it was back in 2020, 2021. Honestly, I think I got it in 2022. I don't even fucking remember. But anyways, I got it around 5K. Had 130,000 miles. So to me, that was a very good price. But clearly nowadays, they're up in price and in worse conditions. So if you look through Facebook Marketplace right now, the prices on these are bad. I got my car for a steal, but now the conditions on these cars are a lot worse because people who drive them beat on them and then end up selling them, because these cars are usually used for drifting. If you guys didn't know, this is a rear wheel drive car. And if we click on one of them, as you can see, conditions aren't there. The title is probably not even clean. It's probably rebuilt isn't too bad, but it's probably like sometimes it's even lost title or some shit, salvage title especially. So I'm really lucky that I got mine when I got it. Even then, even then it was hard to find my car. So overall, the price on these aren't really that great, as I was saying, just because the owners of these cars do beat on them and drift them and then just end up selling them when they have like a big issue or whatnot. So I don't know, it really sucks because most of the time when you take care of these cars, they look great. As y'all could see on my car, it's not too bad. Obviously, I'm still building it, and I'm glad you guys are enjoying my content of me building the Z and the adventures I'm having with building it. Yeah, but I would say that 350Zs are very popular, especially when you look at one that is built, maybe like a show car or maybe a nice looking drift car. Okay, so I feel like I kind of talked about how a clapped 350Z price would be. But anyways, moving on to a good looking 350Z price. Um, so for those, they would basically be around the same. They should be around the same price, um, or maybe higher. Just because when you do modification on a car, one thing people tend to do is obviously add the price to their car when selling it. However, when you add something, it really doesn't add money to it, because cars aren't a good investment at all. If you guys don't know, vehicles, any car that you put money towards is kind of just, it's kind of a waste of money, not a good investment whatsoever. Clean 350Zs tend to be around 10K as well, maybe 11K, 12K. The prices end up rising, unfortunately, most of the time. There might be, I'm not saying there isn't, but there might be a modification that you do put on a 350Z that might add value, but from my understanding, especially if it's performance mods or a tune, it kind of does make it worse because obviously you're beating on the engine. But yeah, they kind of tend to be around that price. All right, so moving on to number two, that would be modification. So starting off, the 350Z itself turns heads. I cannot say it doesn't. I guess it really just depends on how it looks, if it's clapped or not. But it turns heads just because the body style looks really aggressive. It is really round though compared to a 370. But either way, you can make 350Zs look really aggressive, especially when you add a side skirt, when you add a good looking spoiler, a good looking side skirt, anything that catches a person's attention, especially when lowering the car. So another thing is that the marketplace for mods for a 350Z is really high. A bunch of modifications, bunch of performance, outside of the body, a lot of modifications. So starting off, wheels. Obviously, you can do that to any car. However, they look sick on a 350Z, as you can see when I got my wheels. Sometimes your stock wheels aren't it, especially for some people, especially if you're gonna get a 350Z, and if you want to make it look a little bit more aggressive, is definitely wheels. As you can see, I got some Avid ones AV06s. If you guys haven't, please go ahead and check out that video. And another example, side skirts. There's a bunch of side skirts out there online for a 350Z. There's actually carbon fiber side skirts, and there's unpainted side skirts that you can go ahead and paint yourself, paint match it, wrap it, whatever you want to do. So side skirts are another thing. There are side skirts out there that actually cost maybe $300 because they are real carbon fiber. And now that we're actually talking about the body of the 350Z, another modification is wings, spoilers, also rear diffusers. So for wings, like I said, same thing for side skirts. There are carbon fiber wings that cost, a bit more pricey. However, you can get unpainted ones that end up wrapping it. For example, I have a duck spoiler wing, but there's also Nismo wings. There's also I think a Nismo V2 wing. So just a bunch of different wings that you can actually get for the 350Z. Don't even get me started on headlights. A bunch of different brand headlights out there. For example, there are depot headlights, which are, I think, in my opinion, the most popular headlights that you can get. Depot headlights are very great. I know Spec D makes some nice as headlights for the 350Z. So basically, outside of the 350Z, a bunch of different parts you can get. Wheels, body kits, basically, which includes the wing, front lip. Not to mention, like I said, front lip. You can get a bumper, Nismo bumper, aftermarket bumpers, KBD bumpers, bunch of different parts for the 350Z. You can really go from a base, like a stock base look on a 350Z, to an aggressive looking one. So that's what's really great about these cars, because you can basically customize it however you want. Also, not to forget mirror caps or side view mirrors. There is different style side view mirrors, especially mirror caps. You can get carbon fiber mirror caps. I'm pretty sure that's a popular one. You can even take off the side view mirror and put an aftermarket one on it, so that's really cool. So moving on to the engine bay, which usually is where the performance mods are located. The marketplace for performance mods is really high as well. Just in general with the whole 350Z. However, I'm about to give some examples right now. There is different manifolds. This is a stock one I currently have. Different manifolds. There's a Kinetic manifold. Kinetic is a popular brand within the 350Z community. Another thing is a plenum spacer. Basically, adds more air. More air equals basically more horsepower, air to fuel ratio. So another example, which I don't have right now, would be a throttle body spacer. Again, that would add more air as well. And as I'm naming these parts, I definitely recommend checking out a website called Z1 Motorsports. Again, that website is very popular within just the VQ community, not just for Z specifically, but for just any VQ that you have, any Nissan. Another thing would be a cold air intake. Cold air intakes are very popular. There's carbon fiber ones, Z1 Motorsports ones. There's Nismo. Oh, there's also pulley deletes, which I don't have as well. This is an OEM belt pulley system. However, there are some pulleys that you're able to delete. Valve covers. There are metal ones online that people definitely recommend getting, because valve covers on 350Zs do tend to leak. So moving on to the brake master cylinder, there is a specific mod that I do want to end up getting for the Z. It's basically I forgot what it's called, but I'm gonna go ahead and pop it up on the screen like I've been doing. You basically just put it right here, and what it does is kind of just helps it every time you push on the brake. If you guys didn't know, it kind of moves your cylinder. However, this part basically makes it stop. That way the brakes are a little bit stiffer, so I definitely recommend checking that one out. So right now I'm not able to show the other mod that I'm about to name. I'm gonna see if you guys are able to take a look at it from here. I'm not too sure if you guys can even see it, but it would have to be test pipes. Basically aftermarket catalytic converters, bunch of them. High flow cats, catted test pipes, not catted test pipes. High flow cats, like I said, bunch of brands out there. ISR is the one that I'm currently rocking with right now. ISR test pipes. Another one would have to be headers. I currently have stock headers, but there are long tube headers and short headers. So I'm pretty sure short headers would be if you still want test pipes. Long headers would basically replace the test pipes. So now we are on exhausts. So we went from test pipes to the full exhaust. I'm currently running an ISR Performance single exit. Same thing with the ISR Performance wide pipe, which you can't really see, but there's a bunch of brands out there that make exhausts for the 350Z. One popular one is obviously Tomei or Tomai. And even if you are on a low budget, eBay carries a bunch of exhausts for this car. So overall, if you guys were to get a 350Z in 2025, you guys would be set in modifying your 350Z. I just named a bunch of modifications, small ones. So moving on to the other modifications would be suspension. So coilovers you can't really see, but I'm currently running springs, coilovers, springs, basically anything has to do with lowering, suspension parts. It's all there. Uh, like I've been saying, marketplace for these Z's for parts are up there. Different brands, different good brands, and different options as well. So an example would probably be upper control arms, adjustable upper control arms, adjustable lower control arms, anything adjustable. If you want to, like I said, make it a car show, you can even put camber on the Z. It would make it look really fucking good. So quick ones I want to name: turbo kits, bunch of turbo kits out there, supercharger kits, bunch of them, fuel injectors, fuel pumps, basically anything. Like, those are the next steps to modifying the engine. You could really do it with this car. And as I mentioned earlier in this video, another good thing about 350Zs is that they are rear wheel drive. As I was saying, that does tend people to drift these cars a lot. They are very good drift cars, but they are fun as well. Even when you don't want to make it a drift car or drift it daily, even when you're driving normally and you want to make a quick U-turn, you could just swing it and it'll swing easy. Even if it's auto or manual, these Z's they come in LSD, so you don't have to well the diff. But if you drift them, a bunch of people do end up welling the diff, so it kicks out better. But even stock diff, uh, stock suspension, you could swing these wherever and whenever you want. Okay, so moving on to the cons of the 350Z. Whether you get one or not, you guys want to know what's the problem or what goes on in a 350Z later on. So a huge thing on a 350Zs that is a big con would be oil consumption. Again, um, depends on the year of your engine. Usually, most VQs do burn oil. The ones that do end up burning oil would be my year of a car, which is a 03. It would be a VQ35DE, and I think the worst ones that do burn a lot of oil would be a VQ35DE Rev Up. Kind of sucks because that is kind of straight out the factory sometimes. However, if it's a problem in your car, you for sure can get it fixed very easily. Like I said, I just named a bunch of aftermarket parts for this car that you could just replace yourself. Very easy to work on these cars, especially as a first time car. Another con would be the gallery gaskets. As I was gonna say, on the gallery gasket, it's basically located in front of the engine. I'm pretty sure it's all the same with the HR, the DE, and the Rev Up, which is basically just an upgraded version of the DE. The gallery gaskets on those, they tend to go bad because I'm pretty sure in stock, or out the factory stock, the gaskets just aren't that good. Another con would be camshaft sensors. Like I said, for this one, it would depend on if it's a HR or a DE or a Rev Up, because there's a certain amount of camshaft sensors and crankshaft sensors depending on the engine and year of the car. However, when those sensors tend to go bad, it makes the car not start. Basically, makes your dashboard become a Christmas tree. So if it does not start, it might most likely be the sensors. Obviously, it could be the starter. That's like the number one problem in any cars. But if that's not it, I'd recommend checking your camshaft slash crankshaft position sensors. So those are just a few cons that I named. Like I said, as long as you're taking care of the 350Z, of the engine, you're doing daily maintenance on it, recommended maintenance on it, you will be fine. Okay, so now that we are coming to the end of the video, I'm gonna tell you guys what I've been through with the Z and how long I've owned it real quick. I've had the Z for I'd say about 2 years now. Issues that I came across on oil consumption, I still come across that. However, I know that it is like that straight from factory, because everything works great. My oil gauge works great. There was a time where my oil gauge temp sensor didn't work, but then again, like I said, that is an easy replacement. I want to go ahead and replace that when I did my oil change. Oil reads right. Um, Gallery gaskets have not gone out. Valve covers I did end up replacing because they did end up leaking. That's one thing I did mention. However, I did mention in one of my past videos that my engine did blow. My engine did end up blowing, but I got it replaced. However, that does not change the fact that I would get this car again. So that should say something about a 350Z. Now that I know the problems to it, and I got informed on it, and I learned, I would just fix them. and I would just end up fixing them if they are needed. So now the question is, would I recommend someone the 350Z in 2025? And the answer would be yes. Definitely yes. And I'm saying yes because this car can basically be for anybody. You can use it as anything. If, like I said, especially if you want to drift it, this is high in demand for drifting. A bunch of aftermarket support, like I said, for just the car in general, especially for drifting. If you want to daily it, stock suspension. If you want to keep it stock and daily in it, it's a good, nice sports car. Another thing would be if you want to make it a show car. Um, like I said, the support for these is massive. So a show car, definitely recommend getting it. So thank you guys so much for watching today's video. Please comment down below if you are thinking about getting a 350Z, and or if I convince you to get a Z. And yeah, and hopefully you guys did enjoy the video, and I'll catch you guys next time. Goodbye.